Peak week is one of the hardest weeks of prep. Please explain why.
Because the hard work is done. The athlete has spent months, if not years, feeling like they need to be working. And at that point, they have to pull it back. So it's the mind. And the mind is always harder than the physical. You know, you're so close, but those last 5 days are agonizingly long. You've got to spend the time. If you're not already someone who naturally wants to do these things and does them as a part of your lifestyle, you've got to dedicate the time, and that can be years, to becoming that person first. You're not born a certain person or not, but it does require a lot of time and learning to become the person who's ready to do it. Yeah, it's disillusion. It's trying to make us forget that there is this issue of them taking over, disrespecting farmers, all this sort of stuff. So you're right. The solution is to boycott the big places and go to the small places.
She's WBFF 2018, 2019, 2022. Local hero champion 2022 WBFF London second, I believe, place winner. No hip thrust, bulging disc, find another way. Those glutes need to be trained. Ice cream during prep isn't a bad thing. Don't take life too seriously. No one gets out alive. IFBB 2023 True Novice Champion. Was university really a waste of time? When will her acting career take off? Please help me welcome beyond fitness, beyond the podcast, beyond whatever's capable and possible, Lauren, is it Killey?
Lauren Killey. What an intro. Thank you.
There you go. There's your intro.
Love that.
You love that? How are you?
I'm really well. I'm excited to chat.
I think we summed you up pretty much straight away, didn't we?
Pretty well. There's some good questions in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We did. It's funny. I was telling Chris, I hate writing scripts, but I also get nervous writing scripts because I don't even know who the fuck you are. Excuse the French. I don't know who you are. I don't know who Lauren is. And then when I finish writing the script, then I know Lauren, and I'm not nervous, and I go, we're ready for a podcast. Yeah. So let's get this started. Chris, can I have the prop, please? I just need my prop. We've got a prop. Yeah, we've got a prop. Just bring in the cake.
Hey.
We bring in the cake. Now, look, it's a rice cake, which is part of my extravaganzas.
You're getting some actual cake.
Yeah.
What do you got on that?
I've got peanut butter, maple syrup, sheep's yogurt, and a walnut.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Good balance there. Nice.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, can I eat a cake? Can I eat that cake when I really do only have one life? Does that message only stem to competitors and athletes? Also, if the National Food and Drug Administration has approved Tim Tams, Pringles, Pringles aren't really potatoes.
No.
Chubba Chubs, chewing gum, wagon wheels, Napolitana ice cream. I'm sure they know and are promoting and signing off on food with substance. Come on. What do you think? You posted that this morning about in your stories. You can't have your cake and eat it, can you?
Depends who you're talking to. And it depends at what phase of their life and their journey, right? So if you're talking to a general population individual who's just trying to get healthy, of course you fucking can. Of course you can eat cake and you can be healthy and you can have a body you love. Absolutely. If you're talking to a competitor, the majority of their year, you can have some cake. I have cake. But if you're talking to a competitor who is right in the depths of their prep and really close to their show, it's probably not the smartest decision. If you're talking to someone who's always struggled with their body or is struggling with health issues, probably not the best decision. If you're talking to someone that uses food to solve their emotional and psychological issues, probably not the best decision. Yes, these things are approved, but in moderation. How many of us actually eat the given serving size of a food? You look at a chocolate bar and you look at the actual serving size. I'm eating the whole block.
I can't stop.
That's right.
I can't stop when it comes to chocolate. Oh my God, so all right. So I guess what you're saying and what I'm understanding here is if you've decided to lock and load and you're going to compete, right now your life is competition. That life of luxury, you've put it to one side at the moment. The bags are on the side. And basically, if we're going to go for it, let's make sure every stone is turned, and let's not have excuses at the end. And you're going to be, and this is your big test in life, I guess not completely your life, that you're going to be told many times to crack and break. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, for sure. There's a lot of learning, I think, that's got to go into that process before you get to that point of wanting to make that decision around food, where you're wanting to restrict certain things to an extent for your health. Because you take someone who's never done a show before and never had these relationships with food before, we're coming from what's normal as humans. Like, food's part of human existence, right? It's social, it's cultural. So to go from that normal human existence to suddenly cutting everything out can be restrictive. So I think the big distinguishing factor in that is how much time are we giving ourselves to do the preparation prior. And if we're doing that preparation prior, we're learning about our relationship with food, where we use it for emotion, where we use it negatively, where we can use it positively. And we're learning the foundational prep habits with that. It's not quite balanced. It's never perfectly 50-50, but whilst being able to have our cake and eat it too. And then when it is time to switch that dial up, which inevitably there will be a time, whether it be in your build, you'll go through these build phases, dedicated push phases, where you might be 100% on with your nutrition for that period of time. And then obviously coming into the cut closer to show, when calories are low and we need to be really on top of our nutrition that time as well. We want to make those decisions because we know it's serving the goal. But we have to get to that place psychologically to be able to do that. And I think the issue with the industry is a lot of people aren't giving themselves the time to do the work to get to that place. And so it leads to negative relationships with food. It leads to restriction mentalities and this narrative that's going around that's bodybuilding causes problems, which it doesn't.
Well, I've got that question along the way, but let me ask then, if we let's say you worked for the Food and Drug Administration, the NDFA or whatever they call it. I don't know what they call it here. I mean, let's think about it. Tim Tams, Pringles, but let's think about Chubba Chubs. Like, what the fuck are we approving? Just think about it. Like, let's just think about it. Like, what are these people approving? You know what I mean? Like, I know we're supposed to say life is fun. Is it? Is it fun, or are we creating problems of diabetes, obesity, mental health issues through that kind of stimulation, or the incorrect? What I'm trying to say is, in other words, it's just money, isn't it? Really, we're a commodity. Feed these fat motherfuckers, and we make money.
That's what it comes down to, is money. And the food industry is less about giving us food and more about giving us product, and product something to be sold. Even grocery shops are made to sell us. They're designed like casinos to make us lose track of time, so that we are directed towards food product to buy it. Like, we're not in a society that's made to serve us with our food at all. Even these health, unfortunately, industries, I don't feel that they're doing, I don't want to say the best job they could be. They know more than me, I'm sure, in a lot of ways, but there's definitely better ways we could go about it. We're not getting enough education alongside what is approved so people know how to handle food. And obviously, living in a highly stimulated world, our mental health is fucked. So we're using food. Sorry, I'm going to swear too, but like,
no, you go right ahead. You're allowed to swear on this one.
Our mental health is an issue. It is, and so that's coming a lot from food as well. Yeah, it is an issue.
It is an issue. Now, my next question is, I mean, like I said, I tell you what, I really enjoyed that. Tell me something. When you eat, let's say you had a yogurt, which I usually have, and I put protein powder in it. Do you like to kind of get into your bowl to make sure you get every ounce of protein? And
oh yeah, when I'm cutting, every calorie.
Is it just does every calorie
you lick
count?
the bowl.
Yeah. You lick the bowl. That's what I wanted to know. Do we lick the bowl? We do. We have to. We're athletes. Of course we lick the bowl.
That's right. Every single bit.
All right. I'm gonna also take us into a philosophical quote. Okay. I always start off with something philosophical, and we can mull over it. Even Chris can mull over it. Florence Nightingale. She was an English social reformer, statistician, and founder of modern medicine, in case you didn't know who Florence Nightingale was. So one of her quotes were none who were discontented with what they have, the world would never reach anything better. So what it's basically saying is,
I love
were
that.
there none who were discontented with what they have, the world will never reach anything better. Hang on.
Mm,
How very little can be done under the spirit of fear. Rather, 10 times die in the surf, heralding the way to a new world, than stand idling on the shoreline.
mm,
So
that's great.
I know. I thought I'd bring that up for you. How do you read that? What does that tell you?
Uh, mind and body is designed in a way to make us seek problem. We look for problem. We look for issue because that's what allows us to survive and that's what allows us to evolve. So if there was no one who had any issue with anything, we'd never get anywhere because we're perfectly comfortable in where we are at. It's like, unfortunately, the majority of society, we are just comfortable enough in our distraction of social media and TV that all the things that are going on in the world, issues with the government, issues with all sorts of things, it's not enough of a problem for us to be uncomfortable enough to do anything about it. But as soon as we reach a point where something's too uncomfortable, we're not happy, we're going to do something about it. That's going to make change.
I agree. What about you, Chris? How did you read it? You didn't get it? Oh, Jesus, Chris. And I thought you were the intelligent one in our team. Now, just quickly, Chris, I'll tell you what she's saying is, if there wasn't a discontent, like you weren't happy, then the world will never really try to achieve anything, because you're not happy, you're trying to achieve. Because if you were happy, you'll just not want to achieve. Because you're unhappy, your unhappiness is supposed to motivate you to go do something better or anything better. But also, it's talking about that you'd rather be in the surf, battling the waves, catching the working with the tide, and may it be a diabolical tide, and challenging you, rather than sitting on the shoreline just watching it. And I think, for me, that's how I read it.
Yep.
And
that's how I read it.
I apologize about Chris's intelligence. I did not know today he was coming unintelligent to this podcast, if that's such a word. But I've got to take the piss out of Chris somewhere along the line of these. We're just trying to get ratings. We think if I bag the co-host or the guy that sits behind the camera, we get ratings, but it hasn't worked yet.
People love a bit of drama, don't they?
I know. Well, 10th of April, 2024, low-calorie ice cream. Normal calorie ice cream. Is there forbidden rules when prepping, or is everything an individual? I know most or some, or I just want to know why the big hoo-ha about it. There's a big hoo-ha. Some, I'm just reading my notes here, sorry. Some of this fuel works for some and not for others, or most. Like, I've got a cousin, I remember this cousin, let me just, before you go on, he's the same age, we've got the same name, we're named after our grandfather, and we both train. So we've had a slight competition against each other. And I have to say, I always think he's better than me in the body. But the motherfucker can have ice cream at night, every night, and I can't. I get love handles, he doesn't. So what I'm asking is, do you think, obviously I know this was in a prep, or maybe not in a prep time, whatever this low-calorie ice cream was. Well, but if, I guess what you were saying as well, being monitored, if it works for that person, it doesn't necessarily mean it works for everyone, or it's not supposed to be for everyone. Why the fuck do you care what she's eating? How about you just turn up your best and she turns up her best? What do you think?
That's right. Absolutely. It's prep is such an individualized thing. It has to be. It can't be cookie cutter, because what works for one person will not work for someone else physically, mentally. Yeah.
Well, I've realized it myself at the moment. I'll just let you know I've lost 22 kilos.
Well done.
And I know I've got another 5 to go. And I'm back. See, everybody that knows me has met me recently. Anyone on TikTok, Muscle Talks, even Chris, has met the fat guy. But no one saw Mr. 51 and 52. What they've seen is 53, 54. So
lean.
Yeah. So No, I'm saying 51-year-old. The
Oh, I was gonna
51-year-old.
say, that's
Sorry,
very
the 50,
lean.
no. The 51-year-old, the 51-year-old, the 40-year-old. It just happened to be a lot of things changed in my life, and I guess let's just say there's a lot of factors. I think girls would know this too, and guys. Sometimes you put on weight due to medication as well.
Yeah,
And sometimes you've got to
absolutely.
really be engaged with what you're eating, even when you're on medications or
Yeah.
whenever you're taking anything, you've got to realize it doesn't necessarily equate well. So even I find it very hard to understand food after 3.5 decades and living in a Greek household with delicious food. And if I said to you something funny, we ate very rich food,
Yeah.
like rich. And
Mm.
do you know we never put on weight?
Yeah.
Don't ask me why.
It was homemade food, right?
It was fresh tomatoes, cucumbers. Actually, we grew them in the garden. We had our own gardens. But the meat, the way it was cooked, the servings, what it was real. I'll tell you something funny. Because I grew up as a kid in a Greek household, and right now you'd pay big dollars. You'd go to Apollo in Potts Point and you'd pay big dollars at that Greek restaurant, right? In Potts Point in Sydney, right? But at home, I thought when my mum came home with frozen pizza subs, I thought that was gourmet. I go, oh my God, frozen pizza subs. We've got to have those. Canton out of the jar. When my mum goes, I got this Canton stuff. I go, oh my God, that must be gourmet. And that's when we started. That's when we started putting on weight, when we started eating everyone else's food. So food is so mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Food is mysterious. You know what I mean?
It is, because we all have really different life experiences with it growing up. And it's that, like I was saying before, it's that cultural aspect. It's that family and connection aspect. Like there's so much nuance that goes into food. It's not simple at all.
Where are you from?
I'm Aussie. I'm Australian. My parents are English.
I was going to say, because your accent is...
Yeah, I picked it up from my parents, but I've also picked it up from my partner, I think, spending way too much time together. So now, I don't know, I speak English. I've got a twin sister who's Aussie bogan, but yeah.
You got a twin sister?
I do.
Identical?
No, not at all. Tall and blonde.
It's funny because I also thought, were you South African? Have you been told that?
Before? No, we've got way back in the genetics, we think some South African, but we've got German on one side, English, Isle of Man, a mutt, a mix of all sorts, Italian. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Gosh.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ancestry.com. My kids keep coming back to me saying, Dad, I think we've got German and Scandinavian. And I go, oh, you're fucking Greek, will you? Just shut up.
Simple, yeah.
It's really simple, bro. All right. We came from Greece. All right. But I'll be honest, my ex-wife, Giselle, she's Australian, and I always go to them, and I have to be fair. I say to them, you're 95% Greek and 5% all that other crap. I don't know what that is. So I am fair. I'm very fair.
Very fair.
It's very fair. It's show week for competitors of the first ever FMG show in Sydney, and also all the kind of last show before the finals in the IFBB. Peak week is one of the hardest weeks of prep. Please explain why.
Because the hard work is done. And at that point, the athlete has spent months, if not years, feeling like they need to be working. And at that point, they have to pull it back. And they never feel like they're doing enough. They feel like they have to keep going. And that's where we have to pull back so we can start to drop off fatigue. We can start to reduce water and inflammation. We've got to cruise on in. So it's the mind. And the mind is always harder than the physical. So we're having to pull them back, stop them from looking at each other, stop them from playing the comparison game, and pull them out of the thoughts that start to pop up, which is, am I good enough? Have I done enough? Am I going to be ready? And it's also, you're so close, but those last 5 days are agonizingly long. So it's hard. Mentally, it's really hard.
It sounds like it's mentally hard, but not physically hard. You're not in the gym destroying yourself, but it's the mind games of turning up on point. It's like, I guess, like Olympic swimmers. You can do 4 years. You don't want to peak 2 weeks before the Olympics. You want to know that you're dialing in for that one race.
Yeah, and you have to have so much trust that your coach has got your back and they're going to peak you for that moment. It's a moment after, for some people, years of hard work. It's a lot of
It's a
pressure.
moment. I know, God's sake. Like, it is a lot of pressure, man. I tell you what, it is a lot of pressure. I have to say it. Yesterday, you posted, same post, physically, sacrifices, pushing past limits. You win before you even get to show day. You get to grow, learn, become a version of yourself you may have not thought possible. Go on. Oh, wait, there's more. But then, we often get in our own heads during the final week, leading to the stage. We get caught up with the comparison game, which you mentioned, worrying if we've done enough and if we could have done more. If we'll be what the judges want, remember, the journey is about you. That's all that matters. Someone said that yesterday. Oh, that was you.
Yeah, that's what bodybuilding is. It's the journey. That's it. It's the self-growth. And I think people, and you'd understand this, people who are in it, they get it. You don't ever have to step on a stage to feel that feeling of pride you get from working towards something. It's that top tier of Maslow's needs. It's the self-actualization of purpose, right? And becoming someone we didn't think we could, or having those days where it's so hard that we don't think we're going to make it through, or those days which I'll admit, every prep I have a day where I say, I am retiring after this. I'm out. Why am I doing this myself? But it's not about necessarily loving every aspect of the suffering. It's getting through it and being like, I did that. I thought I wasn't gonna, but I did. And that brings incredible confidence and empowerment when you realize you're in complete control of your mind and yourself. That discipline factor is freedom, because we realize we can do anything. So yeah, that to me is what competing is.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the reception to come back. We're losing a little bit of reception.
I lost you for a sec.
There we go. We're back. Yeah. If we do lose each other, I'll just let you know it continually records. So we've got to fake it. So just smile and wave. Smile and wave. Smile and wave. Just like you're competing on stage. It made me think about when I spoke to you off camera, turning up to special events. I think you only know, and I guess stage is very different. But in life, I guess one of the big pinnacle dates in my calendar as a bodybuilder is the 1st of December.
Oh yeah.
And the reason the 1st of December is the most significant day. It's the first day of summer.
Right.
And the reason for me it's such a significant date, the 1st of December, is it's beach time. It's wearing less. You want to look good on the beach. It's how you present yourself. That's just me as a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But I also know when I've missed those seasons. Thankfully, it's not like rocking up to the stage like you guys. I get summer again, and I get summer again, and I get summer. I get so many summers. It's incredible. I've had literally 55 summers. I've had 55 summers in my life.
Yeah.
So, but it's just like that, because I know to turn up to the 1st of December, I'm probably the last 2 weeks of winter starting to get everything ready for the last 12 weeks, so 14 weeks, because I've also realized I've turned up withdrawn. I've turned up not muscular. I've actually overshot the mark. I've ripped up too much. Yeah, so I guess, like I said, you learn a lot about yourself, your self-disciplines, I think, when you're turning up to a date with you and your body.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I think maybe this is a good lesson for everyone out there to realize that the stage and a season of, you can do 5 years of stage, and you may never get a pro card. You may get a pro card. You might decide that's all you wanted. What are you going to do after that? Exactly. And that's where you should take all your skills that you built on stage to stage the rest of your life with that kind of, because you can't be on. We all know you can't be on. And for me, I've also realized I had my summer clothing, which meant I
Yeah.
bulked up a little bit. And then I had, sorry, my winter clothing, which I bulked up a little bit. And then I had my summer clothing.
Yeah. Your on-season,
and
off-season wardrobes.
yeah. And the funniest was, I was telling Chris as well, I just took my jeans, 2 pairs of jeans, to the salvos. And at first I thought, oh, but they're good jeans, but they're fucking 22 kilos heavy jeans. We're not going there again. So I took them to salvos. I said, here's a 22 kilo fat bastard jeans.
I'm not going back.
I'm not going back. Well, I've burnt the bridges. Then I have to go buy new jeans if I put on weight. So that's
exactly.
not a good thing. I don't want to buy new jeans. 15th of the 4th, 2024, you posted on your podcast, no sugar-free gum, guys. Tell us more. Not good for gut health. Makes you hungrier. It engages your digestive process when no food's coming in. Lights went on. I suppose chewing gum, your body's thinking you're consuming something that's nutritious. Is that true?
Yeah.
And everything,
Yeah.
all the processes start to switch on.
That's right. Yeah, as soon as you start to chew anything, that mastication process sets off all of the things within the mind and the body to say, right, time to start digesting. Something's coming in. And look, there's different studies out there that say to an extent it can be helpful. To an extent it can help for some people with hunger. But we're not talking about the overweight individual who has got lots and lots and lots of kilos of additional energy on their body, which is going to help with things like satiation. The more adipose tissue we have, the higher our leptin, which is our satiety hormone, and basically the better adept we are to dealing with the fat loss. We've got the energy. We're talking about athletes who are taking their body from a healthy place to an unsustainably lean place. So what I would say to an athlete is different to what I would say to someone in general fat loss. It's like, look, yeah, you can use those tools in general fat loss because we're not going to an unhealthy place. We're going from unhealthy to healthy. But when you're going from healthy to unhealthy in prep, different rules apply. You want to be doing the things that are going to serve that journey and make it easier. And to be honest, things like, to me, chewing gum, which is setting off that digestive process, which is making us think about chewing, eating food all the time. Because when we're not chewing that gum, we're like, right, I want my gum. Where's my next one? Where's my next one? Where's my next one? We're instilling habits that can be very hard to break when we're coming out the back end of show when things are sticky. So we want to detach from food. We want to eat our big meal and then go distract, be away from it. Don't think about food. Don't think about trying to get through the hunger by eating things. Go and do something else. Feel the hunger. We're going to be hungry. It sucks. And then move on with our day. So it's a practice and a skill, hunger. We get better at it and we're going to have to get good at dealing with it if we want to compete because we're going to be hungry. I put stuff like that out there and it causes a lot of controversy. People get pissed. They don't like hearing it. But I'm talking to athletes going to very extreme places. I'm not talking to the general population.
100%. I mean, I know myself when I'm just going to, one sec, give me a second. I just want to get my phone into flight mode. I feel like maybe my phone is like gaze. So having said that, my phone's in flight mode now. The funny thing is when I'm dieting, I find I start chewing coffee, meaning I drink it and I pretend it's food. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm like, it's got to be food, man. This is all I got.
That's a new one. I've never heard that one before.
Coffee to me is my savior. I'll class that as a snack.
I know.
So, again, the 15th of the 4th, 24, you posted on your podcast, sport is not to blame. And then I believe your partner says, coaches' ignorance, how they are impacting their clients. Is it partly not knowing, not seeing, especially if competitors can't talk? Things like eating disorders and communication, that with coaches, understanding the coach also doesn't know, and I'm assuming coaches can't read minds, as I can't read the minds of people. So you want to help, not go through pitfalls, dark times, stigma of bodybuilding. The right people come to the sport. So what I'm reading here is who should the sport attract and who should they be communicating to?
Yeah. Look, when it comes to competing, it's the person who is already doing the things.
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So,
get your copy at threeog.shop.
Yeah, and the right kind of person. So you've got to spend the time. If you're not already someone who naturally wants to do these things and does them as a part of your lifestyle, you've got to dedicate the time, and that can be years, to becoming that person first. So I'm not saying someone is born to prep. You're not born a certain person or not, but it does require a lot of time and learning to become the person who's ready to do it. Because competing, and you can probably speak to this, you've been in the space for a very long time in the sense of following along with bodybuilding. It's changed a lot. There's been a lot of categories that have come in. It's become very glamorized and popularized, especially with new federations and categories like the bikini category. A lot of women, especially, wanting to come into it because they see these competitors on stage looking glitzy, glammy, looking amazing. And they're like, well, I want to look like that. I want to have that confidence, but they don't understand it's still bodybuilding. And that is an extreme. And so you can't just do a 12, 16, 20-week cut and be that person. It's going to cause issues.
Do you think as well, seeing we're talking about this, I feel that the girls are taking over the world. We know that. So they're taking over the sport, right? They're taking over our backyard. God, it was a guy thing, man. It was a bro thing.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Jesus Christ. But which is really good. But I find that this is what I find. What I see on social media and what I'm finding today, and me being in love with the sport, not knowing how much I love the sport, but when you've done it for 35 years, I think I have cred. But I think as well in business, it seems like if you're an Uber driver, you're an entrepreneur for some reason. You're doing Uber Eats, you're an entrepreneur. We've lowered the standard of our entrepreneurial traits to be like you can earn 50K a year and just say the word.
Yeah.
And I think bodybuilding, if we're not careful, is going down that line. That
it is.
If we're not careful, male and females, but especially, you need to build muscle. It's a muscle game. It's not a lose weight game.
Yes.
It's you can look like an Ethiopian on stage and you look like you're a contender for some reason. I don't know why. But I think you girls are creating glutes. I don't think it's fat ass, and I don't think it's losing weight to have some kind of shape in your ass.
Yeah.
It is a glute. It's a glute muscle.
You've got to have the muscle. Yeah.
You've got to have the. And I think this is what no one understands, that if you're 18, 20, or whatever age, and you think you want to compete, I'd be long gaming it. I'd be thinking, if you're going to get a coach, then you need to maybe say, I'm thinking of 2025. Or I'm thinking early 2026. And you Lauren may say, well, then you don't need me weekly, but I can guide you this type of coaching, will cost you this type of relation. And as we get closer, we'll start dialing it and we'll start working with you. And I think everyone needs to know the long game of getting on stage to respect the sport, because I'm also looking at the sport, and sometimes I wonder, and that's on the male and female side. It's nice, men's physique. Go on, get up there, guys. Get up there with your boardies and pay the administration fee and pay the registration fee. But that's why I didn't compete, because I fucking didn't think I was good enough. Like, I really looked at guys on stage as my threat. Like,
and you wanted to respect it.
I wanted to respect it, that if I was gonna go, I'm gonna go fucking against you. But obviously I didn't, because I didn't feel that way, which is cool. It's okay. I don't think myself small. But that's the thing. And I think it's starting to become a pageant that it's because a beauty pageant is about good looks, and I guess we all question our looks. Now it's a cop out to do a beauty pageant that you don't have to have a great face, as long as you turn up with you could just turn up in a bikini, and the judges aren't going to say, they'll judge you. I just think the federation needs to just stop looking at taking people's money and look at it in a way to say, look, you've got a beautiful shape. But it's not a masculine shape. It's a voluptuous. It's a beautiful shape. We don't want you to go into dieting, and I don't know. That's what I think. That let's not bring the word entrepreneurial on everyone's profile because you're an Uber driver. For me, entrepreneurial is first class, private jets, Aston Martin, fucking watches, cigars.
You live and breathe it.
Well, I'm not doing it right now, so I'm a budding entrepreneur, but I don't have it on my profile. I need a lot of work. I've been there and I've lost it, both with bodybuilding. I've lost it just because I had it or whatever. I'm not there today. Today is all I care about. So what do you think?
I like that you can acknowledge that though, because and look, people are learning. People are young. The sport's attracting a lot of young males and females, and they've got to go through that kind of growth of realizing what it is to actually become this person. But you're right in that. This labeling of I am this athlete when they've never done it and they're still learning. You're not quite there yet. And I'll be pretty blunt and people know my opinion on this sort of stuff. If you're going to compete. You're going in it to compete. It's a competition. And I think people who do get on the stage who aren't ready, both from the coach's side, they shouldn't be putting the athletes on the stage if they're not ready, and the athlete side themselves. It can feel like a disrespect to those who do live and breathe it. And some people dedicate their life to this stuff. And to have someone get on there just to do it, to tick it off a bucket list and to feel pretty for the day, it takes away from the athletes who are there to compete. So I do agree in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I compete in business. I compete in life. I love competition. Bring me who's the best, and I want to go up against the best. Like a lot of athletes say, I won that boxing fight because that guy's the best guy. Had I fought anyone else, I'd never feel like I'm the best. So I don't know. Like I said, I think, and we've got to be careful because I know what you're saying is we're all going to get educated. No, it could become regurgitating it wrongly. It could be like we've got to be careful what we spit out the other end.
Yeah.
It needs to be, I think, muscle, bodybuilding, and
it's changing who you are as a person. You have to go through that identity change. It's not just, I'll do a 20-week cut to the show, I'll step on a stage now, I'm a bodybuilder. You have to change who you are. You have to change your identity, your lifestyle, how you view the whole process. And some people don't want to do that. So it's like, then the sport's not for you.
Bodybuilding equates to showering, brushing your teeth, combing your hair.
Yeah.
You do that without thinking. You bodybuild without thinking. You just it's innate in your day.
That's right.
You didn't even know you drove to the gym.
Yes.
You didn't even know you did a workout.
But you
didn't even know you got home. All you know is you're going out tonight. But you still went to the gym during the day, but you're going out tonight. It's not a go out. It is a home. It's a place. It's that's what I don't think anyone understands. The gym, the bodybuilding,
it's an absolute way of living. And look, there's going to still be days where you don't want to. We're only human. Like, we're still going to have those days, but
I wouldn't have put on 22 kilos if I didn't fucking fall off the bandwagon.
Well, yes, but you don't necessarily need someone poking with you with a stick the whole time saying you've got to do these things and reminding you, hey, you want to do this. It's like, we know we want to do it in the long term. It's just we wake up some days and we're like, look, I'm having a shit day. But I still have that goal. I still have that thing. I want to strive towards progression. I want to be a better me. And for those who are getting on stage, I want to bring my best. It's always going to come down to that.
I just think it needs to be there's no other reason to go on stage. I'm just letting you know. There's no other reason. You go your best. You go to compete.
Oh, yeah.
You go to win. That's it. Don't go on stage. It's okay. You can look amazing off stage. When you're on stage, you rock and roll.
I have that mentality. Yes.
Dr. Ash, who won IFBB men's physique, he's so competitive. He says to his kids, "What's fun?" And his kids go, "Winning." And what's winning? And they go, fun. Yes, yes.
You're not first, you're last. Yeah.
So yeah, he's not a participating award-winning kind of guy.
Yeah.
Seeing we're talking here, and we've mentioned a bit of your podcast. Tell us about your podcast, and tell us about your co-host, and what's your message? What are you trying to communicate and achieve?
So co-host is my partner, Jack, and we started it partly because one, it's very hard to educate with short form content. We want to educate. We want to be able to offer the conversations that people aren't having about bodybuilding, because the only way that we can see the sport changing in a positive way is through that education. So obviously, as you know, podcast offers a really good way of doing that. And we wanted to be able to start to just have conversations with interesting people. It's not just about competing. It's not just about bodybuilding. It's about driven people who want to do good things, who want to be the best at what they do, have interesting lives, motivating individuals. So we've got to get more guests coming on in this next season, but it's about having those conversations with people or between ourselves that offer some value, actual good conversation. That's pretty much what sparked us to start it. Yeah.
How's it all going?
Pretty good. We're a bit terrible on the consistency front, I'll be honest. That's why we decided to set up a home podcast little setup on our couch to get a bit more consistent than having to go to the studios. So we've just got to start with the consistency. That's where we kind of like fall short a little bit, but it's been going really well. Yeah.
This is the key.
Yes. Yes. And we've had a lot of great feedback from people about it, offering some value or thought-provoking episodes that do make people think, am I ready to compete? Or, am I doing things the right way? Or even just introducing interesting people to the world that our audience might not have ever engaged with otherwise.
Well, I wish you luck. Good luck on the consistency.
You know how hard it is.
It is. We're actually, even though we've done a lot of pre-recording, we've already done them anyway. Yeah. But we're actually closing into 52 podcasts, a podcast a week.
Good. That's how it's got to be. Yeah.
Well, do you know that what's the percentage again, Chris, that make it to 21 podcasts in the world?
Minor.
5% of podcasts get past 21.
Yeah.
It's 21 podcasts.
That's it.
And I know it comes down to one word you just use: consistency.
That's it.
It's nothing more, nothing less. A podcast can be done any way possible. It's turning up and being consistent. So tell me about posing. Well, let's call it posing in your home thoroughfare. I guess being comfortable to do so in, and I guess your underwear, and the cat that seems to make its constant appearance and isn't phased. So tell me about that.
Yeah, we've got 2 cats, and for some reason, check-in day is come and hang out in front of mum's camera day. They love it. They're always in the way. It's just become life for me because I've been doing this for 10 years. So, the check-in photos have been happening every week for the last 10 years. And when I started my competing journey, the very first one, I thought I'll put it on Instagram as my sort of like journal. And I've just haven't stopped. So I think I've shared my check-ins almost every week for the last decade. It's only extenuating circumstances when I don't, because what started as I'm just going to share my journey became, not many people are talking about the whole journey. People love to share when they're in shape and they're cutting and when they look amazing, but they don't really share the off season. So now it's almost become like, it feels almost like a need. I need to keep sharing the whole journey on and off season, because we see the bodies going from build to cut, but we don't see the bodies going from cut to build and getting thicker. And I think that's what people need to see. The confidence factor, like partly it's come from just doing it for so long and being a coach. You sort of disassociate from the sexualization of the body. It's like you see the body for muscle tissue and structure. So I kind of forget for normal people when it's just me in my underwear that it can be objectifying. And that's a conversation my partner and I have been having lately about, I want to be taken seriously as a coach. And unfortunately, inevitably, every time I put up a check-in picture in my itty bitty underwear, it's still going to attract not the bodybuilding audience. It's going to attract a different audience. But it's, to me, I forget. I guess that to normal people, it's not normal.
Well, I guess my next question, but maybe you guys should have the cats on the podcast and ask them how they feel. Maybe you should get the cats on and say, how do you feel with Lauren prancing around in her underwear in front and you taking up your space and taking up your space? Well,
it's just their life, the poor things.
It's their life. Well, then explain to me this. Explain to me the mindset of women,
Mm.
and I think men too, who possibly wouldn't walk down the street or through a shopping mall in their underwear, though confident and have a
Mm.
great body. But how do they erect up a camera like me putting Chris's camera up right now and me stripping down in my underwear, thinking everyone wants to see this? And what I'm alluding to is how do you, but you kind of answered that question in a way because you said it's the journey of the building phase or getting whatever it is, it's the check-in. But what I'm saying, it's become like an
It's
overload of people in their underwear.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's become
and
so
what I'm trying to
normalized
say,
these days.
well, yes, but is it normal or are we like any excuse to strip the clothes off? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm
It's a good
still,
question.
yeah, because I just kind of care what I see in the mirror.
Yeah,
That's all I care about. And I care when I'm in my Speedos at the beach. I
Yes.
guess what I'm trying to say is it's kind of like, firstly, some people have some very bad underwear and they buy the wrong size. Right?
Yeah.
That's one, especially the guys. They fucking should work out their underwear better, right? And two, you know, there's a lot of bending over. I know look,
Yeah.
I when I say I love it, no, don't get me wrong.
No, I know. Yeah.
Because I can tell you now, I can be at the beach and maybe different to Chris. I can go, oh my God, check out her legs. Look how proportioned they are. Check the that, the shoulders. We check our bodies all the time. So we could seem like perverts, but we're not. But
You're
on the camera,
disassociated from the
I can disassociate. But when I look at it, I just think, wow, we are like I said, the underwear part is don't stop it for me. It's okay. I'm not here to say stop anything. But when I look at it,
so I'm not stopping it for anyone. I'll be honest. Like people, it's a great question. Like, and I can't obviously speak to other women or other men, but again, it's the world you're in because like bodybuilding, there is this disassociation from being in your underwear because you're just so used to it. That's your sport. You're always looking at the body, but you're not looking at it in that sexual way. It's like, okay, I need to add this muscle. Is my structure okay? Is this shape okay? Like you're looking at it from a purpose perspective. And so, you know, when I put that up, now recently, look, I'll be dead honest. I've been doing this for 10 years. There was a very long time where I was posting up what would very much be described as provocative photos, lingerie photo shoots, all of that sort of stuff.
Because I saw that one. We're going to talk about those ones.
Look, it strokes the ego. There's a level of narcissism in it, of course. I'm not going to lie. And you get caught up in the likes and the things on social media. And it's only in getting older that I've started to realize, well, that's not the type of attention that social media should attract. Social media should be for offering value to people. Value isn't likes, you know, getting a like, it strokes your ego. It's not offering value to the world. And so that's why like my account especially started to change. But that one is one I've kind of battled with recently a lot, is continuing to put the check-in photos up in the underwear because of that split between the people who get it and the people who essentially, you know, will look at it and think of it as something that's sexual. And is it offering value? I don't know. I think it is to the people who need to see the full journey. Others would argue, no, your journey should be your journey. Keep it to yourself. Now, there's also people who put it up, you know, put these photos up in their itty bitty underwear. And you're right. It's the bending over. It's the posing. It's kind of social media is becoming hypersexualized. And that's why I say it's almost normal because we're so used to seeing it. But you wouldn't go down the street in your underwear. No, because the camera offers that disassociation from reality. It's so easy to do it in our own home because we feel safe and we're not actually seeing the repercussions of what's being put up. We're not seeing the people responding. But when you walk down the street in your underwear when you're not supposed to, you see that. You see the looks, you see the judgment, you see the issue. So we're not going to go walking down the street in our underwear because that's where the full judgment of society kind of comes into it. Yeah.
No, I like I said, it's a good discussion. Look, I'll be honest with myself. I've actually had to switch off my own personal social media now because I'm so
Yeah.
overwhelmed by the algorithm of what this bodybuilding business gives me that it's, to be honest, it's fucked. I am
Yeah.
tired of bodies and over sexualizing and everybody's
Yeah.
like, it's just too much. Like if I go to my personals, it's motorbikes, coffee, dogs, fucking cars. Yeah, it's so different in relation to,
Yeah.
but because our business is bodybuilding and I'm focused on that, it's actually, I've become numb to it. I don't even look at it anymore.
Yeah,
I don't
you do
even
become numb
like,
to
meaning
it.
it's sad. It's sad because it's a real disconnection now. Like I can't
Yeah.
be like, for me, I don't know if something needs to change for you, people to engage into you correctly, because for me,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Next,
I'm
because
over
it's
it.
just
Like
so many.
glue, bikini, that guy.
Mm.
Even, to be honest, even guys that show off and they're semi trying to show they've got a package.
Oh yeah,
Like
you see that all the time
I'm
too.
disgusted by that, but also how low they drop their, like, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it, bro. Like,
Yeah. We
you
live in a world that's
got,
so used to this stuff though, because like look at OnlyFans and how prevalent that is
yeah.
now. It's
Go
everywhere.
for it, but I'm okay with OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans account, and I don't have an account to go watch it. But I
Yeah.
guess, do you know in America, OnlyFans with bodybuilders there is embraced? Do you know a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
bodybuilders in America, that's where they fund their money to do bodybuilding, through OnlyFans?
Yeah. So many people do.
Americans don't even worry about, like, they've even got links to OnlyFans on their bios.
Yeah.
So but what I'm alluding to is either, I guess, I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, because I'm not, I don't know if I can show off a bicep.
Mm.
Maybe I can show off the top of my t-shirt. Like I said, what I mean is I already know where that camera's going. Like
Yeah.
maybe people disengage, but I can't. I already know
Yeah.
where it's going. But like I said, I don't know. I'm intrigued the fact it's not with you. I'm not trying to say what I'm getting. You're doing what you're doing, and the cats entertain me. I laugh at the cats, and I see the little cat claw
The
contraption
cat
next
tree
to
in
you.
the yeah.
And sometimes I see your boyfriend going through the drawers to get some crockery
Yeah.
or cutlery. So don't worry, I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, whatever. But I do think, I do think if I was to offer advice out of the blue, I'm not here to offer it, but just if I think whatever you're doing in relation to the pose, I would try to marry in a filter, not a filter of enhancing, the filters that can make it black and white, can make it like a bit more like period driven. You know what I'm trying to say? Do you want to close the front door, Chris, maybe? That I think, and music, I think you've got to be very careful your music you choose. I think everything you need to be putting in your mind, how you would, I'd close the back door too, Chris. I would be choosing when I look at the video, then I'd step back from the video and I'd see how you romance it better. I'd look at I would look at all the things you could add to that video where it puts someone in your mood. It would take them into your journey. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just choose music like, she's fresh and clean. She's fresh and so clean. But maybe
It's interesting what you're saying. It's like
Hans Zimmer. Go to Hans Zimmer and find something that's really I don't know. You know,
positively provocative, not negatively provocative.
what I'm saying is maybe look at.
I like what you're saying in that. Take it out of the bodybuilder shoes and hey, maybe put it into the normal person's lens. How does it look?
Yes.
What does it look like to that person? It's a good piece of advice. Yeah, it is, because just because I tailor it to, and I obviously speak to bodybuilders, it doesn't mean that they're the only ones that see it. And especially people early in their journey, they don't necessarily get it. And people who are using bodybuilding to become more confident in their body, maybe it comes across in a negative way. Like, it's an interesting way of thinking for sure.
and maybe it's not negative. Maybe it's what I'm saying is maybe guys like it. Maybe it's perving. What I'm saying is,
Yeah, of course that's going to happen. Of
yeah,
course
but so what?
it is.
So,
Yeah.
so maybe it's come on quickly. Look at my poodle.
Oh, look. Hello.
That's Tipsy,
Hi.
and
Oh.
she's a Jamaican poodle. No,
She's
you're not Jamaican.
gorgeous. Oh, she's so gorgeous.
If there was a poodle association, I'd be arrested because she is not groomed like a poodle. She looks like a Bob Marley.
She
Don't ya?
doesn't look like a poodle, but she's beautiful.
She is. She's pretty cool. Now you better go. All right, you go. You go. Let me work now. So yeah, I just think that it's okay to have everyone on there to look,
Mm.
but I think set the mood. Yeah, get out of here. Set the mood. Set the mood. You're the first one of the podcast that we've allowed my dogs to have a little journey in it. So
She's
yeah,
so cute. She's so cute.
So yeah, I think look at it as ballet, as people expressing their bodies, but with the whole musical thing
It's an
going. I'm not saying
art.
it's
It
an
is an
art. I think look at it as
Yeah.
I think create the art. I think
Yeah.
create the art.
That's
what
a
I
cool.
think. That's my advice.
It's an interesting way of thinking about it, and I do like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, good. That's good. I'm glad. Where was a second? Oh, hot topic. It's a hot topic time, Chris. Chris loves hot topics. So we go off bodybuilding and now we go into a hot topic.
Cool.
So being a woman, not myself,
Mhm.
you, and seeing what's developed throughout your own decade, mum, grandmother, and cultures, religions around the world,
Mm.
and how they have experienced the feminine.
Mm.
Who do you think had it right, got it right, and why? And one sec, I'm just reading more. And the statements being made now in relation to masculine statement. What are you seeing, feeling, thinking, understanding? What do we want?
What do we
What's
want?
it?
What do
So
we
in
as the
other
women
words-
want? What does the world want?
Well, what I'm saying is, well, let's look at it. Who had it right? Who
Yeah.
got it right? And why? And why is there such a thing? It was the feminine. Now maybe it's the masculine. Like,
Yeah.
what do we want?
I think the problem is we're seeing the pendulum swing, the natural pendulum swing that does occur with almost everything, right? We start on one end and we, as a society, recognize an issue and then we pendulum swing to the other side. And so obviously go back to, say, my grandmother's time, there was less rights and females weren't necessarily seen as equal and mentalities towards the feminine were quite conservative. So now we're seeing the pendulum swim to the other side, which is we've got to be masculine and, you know, women have just as many sexual desires as men and should have the same freedoms and women should have all the same rights as men. And we've kind of pushed to that overly masculine. Now we're starting to see a shift towards, well, no, we've become too masculine. Let's bring back the feminine. So I think as a society, we're trying to find the sweet spot. I don't know if anyone who had it right. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know, because my personal experiences obviously come from my own family and my own parents, and I wouldn't say that their perceptions were the whole and what everyone's experience has been. So I can't say like my mum's generation had it right because her experience was very different to a lot of other people's. So what I've seen is based off of hers. I think the balance for femininity and masculinity is it's just got to come from a place of respect of the other. And I think that's what's missing a lot of the time is, you know, in the former, there was a lack of enough respect for the female, but now there's become a lack of respect for the men. And it's like men are the problem always. And that's just not the case either. We need to find a sweet spot with respect. And then how that looks from a masculine and feminine is just dependent on the individual.
What do you reckon, Chris? What was the question? Oh God, Chris, you're not onto it today. Today is which with the cultural, with all cultural and religions around the world, because I guess what I'm saying is in an Arabic world, women are treated differently to a Western world, to an Asian world, or a European world. Like it's very different. And also grandmother, your mother, sisters. I was saying, who's got it right and why also the big talk about the masculine at the moment as well. We all want the masculine in a way. And then the shift now to the feminine as well.
Mm.
What do you reckon, Chris? Does someone have it right? Who had it right?
I don't know. I feel like definitely not this generation.
Well, Chris reckons not this generation. Okay.
Definitely
So
not this
who's got it
generation.
right?
I don't know. Probably my parents' generation.
You think your parents' generation? Wow.
Why is that?
Well, why is that? Lauren wants to know. I just told her to put the knife down for a moment. He's not watching.
Yeah. I feel like, but we're talking about when I say that it's a different part of the world.
Well, Chris is
Mhm.
Macedonian as well,
Okay,
where
yeah.
he grew
It's a
up.
different experience, yeah.
And Chris has only been in Australia for 5 years,
Yeah.
around 5 years. But you'd think he was born here because his English is very well, but speaks very well.
Because my parents' generation was probably in between all like the communist thing.
Communist things back then,
Mm.
yeah.
So they were after that and kind of like before our generation where everything's very similar to the Western world and the Western world is failed.
And the Western world failed. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I think they pretty much had their
Chris is 23, by the way, which is very mature for his age.
He is. Yeah.
He knows Jack. He doesn't really know that much, but he does know a lot. Go on, yeah.
they had their roles right, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like they had their roles right.
So you think that
they know what to do at home,
Mm.
at work, outside in the world.
Mm.
Like, there's nothing wrong with what's happening now, but I've even said before coming here, I've never met a girl that wanted to have a business.
So you feel that so in other words, in say Macedonia or a communist area,
Yeah.
it was predominantly women's place, you'd say, was not that they didn't have wasn't as career driven. They didn't really care about the careers.
Bit more traditional in the roles.
Family, they cared about family, yeah.
Mm.
But I don't know.
Oh, no, that was a good answer. I think listening to both, myself being, and I'll tell you what it is about turning 55. Whether you like it or not, you develop wisdom only because you've lived. Not that you're wiser.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got wisdom. I can basically know what 30s and 40s and 50, you've just got some decades under your belt.
Yeah.
But, to be honest, I feel me personally, and I didn't think this through, but I'm just listening to everyone and thinking this through. I believe the generation before this one quietly failed, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they failed. That's with me. That one, dads really didn't connect with their daughters back then.
Yeah.
And a daughter needs her dad. So dads just worked hard. They just worked hard, bring home the income. And I feel mums really didn't connect with their sons too much, or maybe they were mummy's boys. I don't know. But definitely the dad has a real important part to play. Maybe not many people know this, but the bar I raise for my daughter has to be so fucking high because I want the guy coming along to know whatever's underneath me, my daughter doesn't even understand.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand abuse, doesn't understand that language, doesn't understand this. Understands commitment, keeping his word, turning up. So I'm on a big show with my daughter. She's 21. I'm on always raising bars. And if the guy exceeds me, we've got a good one. We've got a good one here. We've got a good one. But the last thing I was going to say is this. The previous generation as well, and I know this is going to sound very controversial and So let's hope
I
it
like
brings up
controversial.
let's hope it brings up the ratings. If a priest touched you up and you went home and told your parents will go, shh, don't tell anyone about that. That's the failure.
Yeah.
That's what they did back then.
Yeah.
With today, I'd go and fucking smash that priest. So in other words, I don't know if they got it right. I think
Mhm.
our grandparents have got it right. You know why they got it right? Because what they did was this. My dad, from a Greek background, his dad would say to my dad, my grandfather would say, John, you're not going to school today. And he'd go, why? We're just grown a field full of oranges. We're picking them to go sell them at the markets on the weekend, and I need you to pick them with me. You're not going to school today.
Mm.
See, that was work.
Mm.
So I think, I don't know, like I said, I believe the generation before our parents' generation was a lot more freedom.
Mm.
Your parents could leave countries. Well, you can leave countries, but it's like everyone's still crying that you've left a country. Oh my
Yeah.
God, where you go? Like you could go to Melbourne. They go, why do you want to go to Melbourne for? Like you know what I'm trying to say to you? Where they all want you to frolic around them.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think myself, the generation before, when it was bad, when there was wars, when they had nothing to eat, when it was very bad, they just fucking found it somehow.
Mm.
And where our parents, like I said, a priest can touch you up, a teacher touches you up, and you go, shh, shh, the community's going to talk about us. We're going to rock the boat. So for me, and I think that has affected the pendulum.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I do believe, lastly, I'll finish with this. And I did do Steve Talks on it. So if you look it up on Muscle Talks,
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know, Lauren, guys and girls can't talk. Hear me out. We'll never get it right. We will talk, but we'll never get it right. But we'll talk. Girls and girls talk beautifully. Guys and guys, we talk beautifully. Under a car bonnet, fixing a motorcycle, at the gym.
Yeah.
But when we come together, we're fucked. But as long as we give it a go and we realize it's fucked.
You're not wrong, and it's physiological. It's because men's brains and females' brains they work differently, they process things differently, they understand things differently. Like like therapy is made for females. It's one-on-one, face-to-face talking. Doesn't work for men because how men solve problems is by doing things. So a lot of the society is set up towards female communication, doesn't take into account male communication, which is different. We can talk, like, me and you are having a conversation now, but when we get to the nitty gritty, my partner's been helping me in certain conversations when I talk to like people, he's like, you say too much. It's too much. Pull it back. It's a little bit much. You go into a little bit of, you've got the point across in the first sentence. You don't need the other 10. So there's definitely different communication styles for sure.
It is that when you want your guy, let's just put it out. I'll give you a tip. When you want your guy to open up, he doesn't. He's too afraid to, not about the subject. It's how he feels opening up. It's a real kind of defeating moment in yourself because you're the masculine. You're trying to think you're strong. So while people are poking us, trying to make us open up, we really don't want to open up. And the only way we open up, if you want, is if your boyfriend's outside and the car bonnet is up and he's changing something, go then and talk to him while the bonnet's up. When he's busy. And you kind of gate it out of him if you want to know what he's thinking. There's your tip. There's my tip. There's a hot topic. All right. 11th of March, you said, don't take life so seriously. No one gets out alive, which is a true statement anyway. Explain to me then the all-in white, splashes of gold rock chick, the Olivia Newton-John character that I saw in that post.
It was a photo shoot from Worlds in Vegas, and it was working with that stylist. We wanted like just a different look because it's not the kind of personality that I really put out to the world, but who I am as a person, I don't really put out to the world. My social media, it's very prep this, prep that, discipline, discipline, discipline. And I'm not that. I'm a pretty, I guess you'd say, like, I don't take life too seriously, don't take myself too seriously, absolute nerd kind of person. And I'm someone that believes we have one life. That is what I believe. So I believe we've got to make the most of it, and we really have to experience all we can experience. And so that was just a character, I suppose, for that photo shoot. But the quote, I guess, is just a value. You know, we only have one life, so don't take it so seriously. Get out there and experience it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it is. So tell me something. I'm gonna throw this at you. You probably heard this anyway, which is very clear. So, how old do you think you'd want to be when you think you've had a good life? Like, what age would that be? It doesn't have to be. If I said just pick an age that you think, it was good run, good innings, what would that be?
First thought that comes to mind is it depends on if I've achieved what I want to achieve. But second thought that comes to mind is maybe somewhere in my 80s, where I'm old enough to have done enough, but not old enough.
Let's say, all right. And so I know not asking a woman her age, how old are we?
32.
32. So let's say you live to 82. So you're 52 years away. Did you know that's 52 summers, 52 winters, 52 autumns, and 52 springs? That's all it is.
That's scary when you say it like that.
That's how it is. You got 52 summers left. Yeah, and we're talking about being sane, being able to move your body, do things. You got 52 summers to go. That's it. So it is funny. Life is, we don't come out a lot. That's for sure. And tell me something. Give me. You give a lot of tips. I noticed that you said that just now, and you show it off in actions, lectures. But I do see your humor. I see you acting in this, is the stage a place who is the true you? Is bringing out the actor, it's predominantly you and it lets you let loose? Because I feel you, I'm going to go into you doing 4 years of wasting your time at university, which won't be good. We'll talk about that in a second. But I've noticed, you've got a bit of humor to yourself.
Yeah, I like to think about it.
You like to act a little bit. You get your camera. I noticed the one where you lying in bed and then you get up and you're doing curls, like you're sitting up, or you're doing that daydream, like the daydream.
Yeah. I used to study acting. I wanted to be an actor, so I love it. Like I like performing, and I think that's like if I go really deep and meaningful, I've like many people have got ADHD, and so I masked for the vast majority of my life. I was never myself, and so I'm used to putting on a mask because I feel safe. Because if I'm someone else, I can't be judged. It's not me, and I got very good at masking growing up, so I found comfort in performing, and to an extent, the real me comes out, but also not, because it depends on the character that's being played. But it's just a feeling of safety that makes that really enjoyable, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I could tell in some ways you like to occasionally. I don't know about you, but I can sit in a meeting and I think I can only be serious for fucking 30 minutes and I've got to crack a joke or I've got to break out of it. And then I come back in. Like, just give me 5 minutes to cause some mayhem. Like, let's make paper planes. Let's fucking throw them across the room. And then can we get back into the meeting? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Have a bit of fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're very similar to that. And also tell me, 8th of March, 2024, you posted, your caption was what it is like to be a woman. And your answer was incredible. Well, what was Mary Winston like? It's the voiceover on, and apparently she's delicious. Explain your interpretation of delicious. And all those amazing reels and moments and fun and antics of jumping in the pool dressed seemingly to the nines. So yes, please explain everything I just said then.
Okay. Oh, well, the sound clip is it's from a vampire film, and it's two vampires talking about Mary Wollstonecraft, and one of them's had a taste and she's delicious. And I'm assuming it's because of her intellect and who she was that makes her so delicious. And I just thought it was I liked that it was provocative and it was cheeky.
It was very provocative. I'm going like, Yeah, that can be delicious. But what is she talking about here?
Yeah, I just loved the sound clip. And I think that's, I guess, going into the feminine stuff, that's part of being a woman, is that kind of sexuality kind of side of things. But then
I
it's
loved
the
it. I
it's
loved
the
it all. I
fun.
love watching it. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
watching. I think you'd be surprised. I think real guys, true guys, I do. I think as well, I'll be honest with you, I think you need to have, I think the only advantage I have to see through that, because I saw a lot of fun and I was
Yeah.
very happy to see it. I get very happy to see things like that because I guess because I'm a dad and I have a
Yeah.
daughter and I want her to have fun like that. So when
Yeah.
I see, I guess that's sometimes us guys don't really also get it until we have our own feminine person in
Yeah.
our life,
Yeah.
because we get to see a whole different world when you have a daughter. So
Yeah.
I found that quite fun. Many what have I got here? Question 14. All that work, what did it get me? Music playing in the background, and you're in deep thought. That's right, your acting abilities. You're going, all that.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've
The
noticed
real
here
fun.
4 years university study to be a high school teacher, 3 years working to get hired in one of the top gifted talent schools in the country. Which school was that?
James Roos in Sydney.
Do you know my daughter's a triple threat?
Is she?
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
on her. She's a performer.
She went to ED5, you know, ED5 in Strathfield.
Yeah. Oh, so
Yeah.
dancing, singing, acting.
Yeah.
Good on her. Yeah.
Oh, but she takes after her dad. Not. Yeah, she's a triple threat. That's what she does for a career right now. She's giving it a go.
Amazing.
She's quite young still, you know. So realizing your passion is competing in bodybuilding. So tell us about all three. And obviously, have you paid off your hex?
No.
Fuck me dead.
That thing's going to be hanging over my head forever. Hence waste of time. It's a waste of time because I've learned more in being in the trenches and experience than at uni. And I don't use that degree. I mean, look, I could argue that everything that I learned through becoming a teacher has helped me to be able to educate. And the experience I learned being a teacher obviously helped me to be able to educate, because I worked with, yes, on one end of the spectrum, gifted and talented people, but then some pretty rough schools, which are really, really tough. So you learn how to work with people. I studied a bit of psychology, so that's going to apply. You're going to understand people better. And doing English literature, you get better at analyzing things. So some of the skills carried over, but not for the amount that was paid to go to uni. Not worth it.
Look, I never went to uni.
Mm.
Actually, I don't think I have a degree in anything. But
Degree in life.
But what I found was your first 5 years after school is a university journey in itself. And after 5 years of mate, you've done it in those walls of the university or in life. Sometimes life, well, usually, sometimes even in university, you're not prepared after 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. Where life, you just got to be prepared from day dot, which you're not, but you get there. And I think university is a funny place. I used to believe that was the pinnacle of all, and I felt like that's where everyone like, I never made it there, so I never felt, again, probably, need to get counseling myself, which I have done so. But it's just amazing how, especially my parents' generation, how much they made us feel like if you haven't made it at university, you haven't made it anywhere. That's what I'm saying. That generation's questionable in so many ways. They were great parents, but fuck, it was really
interesting ways of thinking. Then,
it was just, mate. I think they got to. And me as a parent now, I really start to rejig my life about how they were, how our predecessors were, and I'm really wanting to focus on what the predecessors did, because my parents left Greece to come to Australia, and their parents said, "Go for it." My
Mm.
parents came to Australia. They worked, and now I've worked. Unfortunately, my parents have passed away, but when they were
Mhm.
alive, they not only wanted me to look after them,
Mm.
but look after my own children, where my parents just had to look after us.
Yeah.
So the predecessors really gave freedom. Like they
Mm.
used, and I think what we're doing in this world is taking away our children's freedom. And
Yeah.
Harrison Ford said that in a speech about social media and TikTok and banning it, is you're just taking fucking young children's free speech away because they're happily on TikTok posting what they want, saying what they want, people doing. Just let it go, man. It doesn't matter you convincing me or not. How about the government just leave us alone and
Yeah.
they work their tools to tell us their narrative is right. But they're threatened by what this world is. So I just feel, I don't know where this came from. But anyway, it's a counselling session with you now. Yeah. Yeah, the debt. The ex
That
debt.
it's not worth it.
Not worth it. Well done for making it this far.
Just.
Now, on a very serious note, let's go with hip thrust.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know if so. Here we go. Wish me luck with this one. Yes, of course. That's what I wrote. So you said I have not done heavy thrusts for 7 years.
Mm.
What? What's going on? You said how you can grow your glutes not doing heavy hip thrust. The hip thrust use in a prep, so not using it, right? Or you
Mm.
use it, but due to an injured back, 2
Mm.
bulging discs in your back in 2019. Did you have a kind of a semi-sciatica with that too?
For years. Yeah. For
Yeah.
years. Couldn't
Have
sleep.
you
Couldn't
fixed it?
walk.
Have you fixed it?
It's better, but I think once you've got bulging discs, it's always going to be there.
I know how to fix it.
Do you? Did
I
you have
do.
2 bulging discs? Or a bulging disc? Go on then. What's the secret?
Okay. Let me tell you firstly. All right. I'm going to give you the complete scenario so you can picture it. So firstly, bulging discs aren't discriminative. You can be fit and you can be fat. You can be
Yeah.
anything you want. It's your core. Your core let you down. So
Yeah.
maybe your six pack and your glutes and your hammies and your quads helped you so much, but took away what your core needed to do.
Yeah.
Right. So when I had a shop, I had a juice bar in the city.
Mm.
When I was 30, and juices, smoothies, salads, whatever. And I used to pick up, 20 kg carrot bags, 20
Mm.
kg pineapple boxes. Everything was boxes. And
Yeah.
eventually, one day, through a massage, it inflamed my nerve, which hit my disc.
Mm.
And I ended up, same thing with you. I realized, fuck, I didn't, just by chance, I saw uncles and people and yourself for years, having this problem.
Mm.
And I happened to find a physio guy. And when I saw him, and mind you, I still had my shop. I had my shop. And the funniest thing is when you're under adrenaline, working and having sex, you don't have a sore back.
Yeah, no, you
Don't
just
ask me
do it.
why. You just do it. Somehow you don't have a sore back. So we can't have sex all the time. We can't be fucking humping all the way through life. We can't be just walking down the street like a horny dog, humping trees. Electrical poles. What's wrong? I've got bulging disc, man. Fuck off.
If I ever see you with a pole, I'll leave you alone.
By the way, I do have a pole in my garage. I've got a dancing pole in my garage. It's all seriousness. That's another story. But that was for my daughter, not for me.
Okay.
Maybe not. But anyway, retracting back from humping telegraph poles and trees. What I found was when I went and saw this physio guy, he made me do these very simple Pilates moves. You wouldn't even break out a sweat.
Mm.
But this is what he said to me. I went and saw him, and he goes, "See me in a week." And I went, "Okay, see you in a week." Then he goes, see me in 2 weeks. I said, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Then he goes, see me in 4 weeks. I went, all right, I'll see you in 4 weeks. And he goes, all right, see me in 8 weeks. As long as I was doing his exercises, he knew even touching me, he wasn't going to fix me.
Yeah, okay.
He knew me doing the Pilates exercises. And I'll tell you now, I've never had a problem for 2 decades. And I squat heavy. I lift heavy. And to be honest, I haven't done them for a while, but I did them. These Pilates exercises you need to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and I'll just tell you what happens. Not that I'm a doctor or a physio or anything. What I realized is your core is supposed to hold your spine up. Your spine isn't supposed to be held up by anything else but your core. And then your spine, being your core, holds your spine. It lets everything relax. You get your true height, the true separation, and then your bulging discs shrink. Last trick I did, visualization. I visualized my cartilages and the bulge shrinking.
Interesting.
Every day I visualized. Every day I visualized it. I'm very good at visualization.
Yeah.
So I would picture my disc getting smaller. No, my bulging disc getting smaller. But I was invested.
Interesting.
So just like if you invest in Pilates, now, how did I learn Pilates? I went to Pilates classes. I sat at the front. And so I do them at home. I'm telling you, I spend, not right now, I'll be honest, I don't, 10 minutes. I don't even break a sweat every day and visualize. I have a great spine. Yeah, visualize. You got to invest in it. You don't invest, forget it. So there you go.
Well,
there you go.
it.
You can fix your back.
In anything.
It's all consistency. So to fix your back, you need to work on your core, and you're not going to, like the guy said, see me in a week, see me in 2 weeks, see me in 12 weeks. And I'm going to tell you what he said to me at the end. So 12 weeks, I was good. He goes, I'll see you in a year. I said, no, you won't. He goes, I'll see you in a year. And guess what? I stopped doing the exercises. I was back in a year.
How funny.
And guess what he said to me then? See you in a week. See you in 2 weeks.
Same thing.
It all started again. So
he's good like
there you
that.
go. What was that?
He's good like that.
Yeah, it was great. I loved giving him my money. He didn't want my money. He didn't want to see me every week. He didn't want to touch me. He just wanted to. He gave me a bit of a rub and a bit of a crack, but he educated me. So anyway, that was good. So obviously you're bulging disc, but then James Alexander McIntosh that we've had on the podcast. He used very strategic moves to help you, work on building your glutes and working around that area. So, tell us, how was all that?
A lot better, so much better, because we've done 4 preps together, plus years and years. We started working together 2021. That was after 2019 injury, 2020, obviously COVID lockdowns. That's when the pain, sciatica, months of no training was happening. Moved from Sydney to Gold Coast, was still having issues, had been through a couple cancelled preps, was struggling with my training and progressing. James moved up, and obviously being very, very good at rehabilitation, that's his thing. We had a conversation, and basically, he took me on as a client, and the rest is history. So took me on with the intent to fix the injury and got me to a point where we were actually able to progress training. I got back to training. At that point, I couldn't train. I was in too much pain and had been for such a long time. So it got me back into the gym, moving, training, building. So we were able to progress into shows, and inevitably going into a prep, when you're that deep into a prep, little things will prop up, but it's so much better than it was. And now we've got a nice lengthy off season. We can really work on even further rehab work, but really good progression. And we don't really use hip thrusts. So a lot of bikini girls think they need them. You don't need anything. It depends on your body.
Well, you mentioned, was it, I don't know if it was you, someone mentioned that if you go too heavy, you're engaging quads. You're engaging a lot of other areas other than your glutes. Still talking about glutes. So obviously you're only the committed. Obviously that's James's talk, only the committed. And you thrive in chaos. That's James as well.
It is.
Tell us about your Tell us about your top glute building exercises that don't involve hip thrust. 1 is the B stance, Romanian deadlift with 1 foot against the wall for support. 2, the neutral grip dumbbell Romanian deadlifts. 3, glute focus back extensions. And 4, and the world's most hated exercise, yes, the Bulgarian squats, I believe it is. Is that correct?
Yeah, we all hate them, but they're so good. Bulgarian split squats. That's it.
Fuck, I hate it too. Yeah, so those are your meat and potatoes for glutes.
That's some of the key movements. Like honestly, key movements, Romanians, dumbbell Romanians, they're in there. They're fantastic. Back extensions, utilizing externally stabilized things like leg press, hack squat, those sorts of things. Obviously, hack squat's less glute, but yeah, we kind of have foundational movements and we just use those. You know, there's no magic, there's no fluff. It's just good movements, hard training, good intensity, and recovery, which is the main thing that we're sort of working on at the moment, is making sure that there's the recovery factor in that.
I love it. I love it. Tell us about 2023 IFBB Season B debut. And explain to me IFBB Show 2. I'm assuming it was Nationals.
Yes.
And and obviously you were, tell me about your debut. And obviously going to Nationals, being that you were a little bit more seasoned. So how was it going from WBFF, which we will talk about too, but going from WBF to IFB? How was that?
So different. It was so different because I've spent almost 10 years with WBFF, which is a very set way of competing, doing things, posing. So I'd done like 16 shows or so with them. So that was what I was used to. Going into something completely new is always scary, and going from being what was a pro and competing in the pro leagues and overseas and with some of the best, to being a tiny fish in a big pond again was terrifying. And because of unfortunate circumstances, it was a 6 week, well, less actually, it was just over 3 weeks of prep. So it's 4 week prep from what had been WBFF Worlds into the IFBB state show. So I had 4 weeks to change everything, learn everything. So the first one was not my best work by any means. Conditioning wasn't there. Posing was not very good. There was a lot of nerves. So it was not my best work. We had a few weeks in between states and nationals to clean up a little bit. So we were able to bring the condition we wanted, and posing was a bit better, but definitely not as refined as I would like it to have been at all. But yeah, we did what we could with a very short time frame, basically.
So what changes did you need to make? What was it that is so different between the two?
Well, I was competing. I'd started in bikini and then went into fitness for WBFF, going into bikini in IFBB. Look, the poses are completely different. In WBFF, it's free flowing, so learning just the right poses and shapes. I needed to, and still do need to, bring up my delts and glutes to create more of that shape for IFBB. So it was just accentuating that. We weren't going to build any muscle in that time. It was just bringing the condition and getting the posing on point to show the shapes that we needed to, and just understanding a whole new set of judging criteria, a whole new expectation, a whole new show experience. The prep itself is completely different. The show experience is completely different. It's very much, it's bodybuilding in its essence, and it's getting into that athlete mentality completely. Whereas WBFF, there was a lot of other things that came into play around the pageantry and all of that sort of stuff, which came into the judging. So it was actually really refreshing to go into it as an athlete, just as an athlete.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very different. It's very different. All right. So then 2018, I'm assuming, is when you started your WBFF.
2018, I went pro. In 2016, I started competing with WBFF. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what was that like at 2016?
It was scary. I'd come from ICN, so started in 2014.
ICN. Okay. Yeah. Tell us that.
Most people
ICN.
do. Yeah. So started there, did a few shows there, loved it, fell in love with it. Built up to fitness. I have, being very short, I have quite thick legs, and my feedback got to a point where I was always being told I need to slim down my legs, lose the quads, and I didn't want to lose the muscle. I'd always wanted to do WBFF, but I was quite intimidated by the idea of it. So I'd started with ICN, got to a point in 2016 where I thought, stuff it, let's just go for it. Let's go and do it. So made that transition, which was similarly very scary, doing different posing, a whole new thing, and took 4 years to get the pro card in that one. And then, I was with them for, it was 8+ years doing most of my competing career through them. And then
Yeah,
after
you even went to London. Is that right?
Yep,
Tell us about the adventure
London,
of going to
Vegas.
London.
I loved it.
Oh,
I
Vegas.
wanted to I wanted to do London since I did back in 2014 because a lot of my family are in England. The idea of being at the O2, I'd seen past WBFF World shows in London, and so it was just like if I could ever stand on that stage, it would just be a dream come true. So that was like a really just emotional one from that side because it was like I can't believe I'm here. Little young Lauren couldn't believe she was there, so that one was really special. Yeah.
Well, you did quite well. You did quite well, even in London. Is that correct? If I remember,
I came second.
You came second. There I got it. You came second.
Yeah.
That's right. I said it in the intro. I just want to make sure I can. I've got a bad memory.
No, it's okay.
You did. You came second. I got it written here anyway. I'm not going to rely on my memory. And I guess because you said ICN, growing up, were you a sporty kid?
I mean, yes and no. I did sport, but that's because that was what was ingrained to us from my dad. My dad came over to Australia because of playing soccer professionally. And so our whole upbringing was you're doing soccer. Whether you like it or not, you're playing soccer.
Oh, so you played soccer.
I did, but I was not good. And so we were encouraged into a lot of sport growing up. So I did everything: gymnastics, athletics, touch football, Oztag, soccer, like everything. My two sisters, very sporty. My younger sister played soccer at elite level. My twin sister, she was running. She was a sprinter at an elite level. They were both very, very competitive in their sport, whereas I was the artsy one. So I like to write, I like to paint, I like to act. I wasn't really any good at the sport. Growing up, everything I did was with my sister, so she always beat me. So I just didn't feel good at it. And then I found competing, and I was like, oh, this is my sport. I found my sport. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. So tell us, beyond fitness, where are we heading? What does it mean to you having the clients? I also saw some girl gang photo shoots, the girl gangs, the leather jackets, obviously not wearing very much underneath.
No.
And prepping clients and so on. What's going on with Beyond Fitness?
I mean, I want to build it to a point where I'm able to educate as many people as possible. That's my big thing. Right. I love coaching, and I love coaching people because of the education factor, teaching people what they're capable of and helping them realize they can do more than they think. And obviously I love coaching people to stage. So I want to work with athletes who want to compete, athletes who want to be the best of the best. And the business, I want to grow to a point where I am educating coaches. So that's sort of like the big direction is helping people to understand comp prep better. Yeah.
Well, then tell me why coaches need coaches. What do you learn from being coached, especially being learned from James?
Well, the reason I work with James is because I know he knows more than me. I wouldn't be with a coach unless I knew that. He has far more knowledge than I do, not just from prep, but he knows me more than I know me. He knows what I need before I do. He pushes me. Wow. And that's the thing. We need someone to push us always so we can be better. And so coaches having someone to ask the challenging questions, get them to dig deep into their limiting thoughts and behaviors, that pushes them to be better, which then helps their clients and so on. So yeah, it's just that we see further when we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Very well said. Well, before we go over the body, we've got one more hot topic.
Yeah, go on.
One more hot topic. All right. Shopping today. The two big supermarkets. Is it just me, or is there price gouging going on? A monopolization of cost of items. And us as bodybuilders who try to eat clean, seemingly the items we eat, the fresh food we eat, seems to be the most expensive.
Yeah. Oh,
what the fuck's going on with shopping today?
It's gotten
I look
so
at my bill
expensive.
and I go, that's 8 items, and it's even 10 items. It's $100. I'm like, how did
we know? We know it's getting more expensive because we eat the same damn things every week, and when we buy them, it's like the bags of leaves have gone from $1 to $2 to $4. It's like we know it's going up, and it's the healthy stuff.
So why Do you notice half of this stuff is just grown?
Yeah. They're
It's
taking
not.
advantage of our farmers for sure.
But why? Why are we? But isn't it our fault too, though? Like our local community shop can open and we don't go. I don't know why. Like I know we want to go, but we don't go. Maybe Lauren goes, but then
Mm,
Chris doesn't go, and then Steve doesn't go. But
yeah.
it's not going to work with just Lauren.
Yes.
So what do we? Aren't we fucking it up for ourselves?
We are to an extent. Obviously, it depends on what your local looks like. If we're not shopping at the little local shop, then yeah, we are. But there's this whole conversation going on that the big shops like Woolworths and Coles are, well, they're taking up so much land. They're buying out these smaller businesses. They're making themselves so easily accessible so that people will come to them. And recently, we've been seeing a lot of sales going on, half price this, half price that, because it's
They're not
creating
sales. They're not sales. You can lift the ticket up and you wonder it's the same price.
It's
Anyway.
it's disillusion. It's trying to make us forget that there is this issue of them taking over, disrespecting farmers, all this sort of stuff. So you're right. The solution is to boycott the big places and go to the small places. But one person can't do that alone. And how many people are going to go out of their way to go to the small little local one if the big one is across the street?
You know, I don't shop at Coles and Woolworths.
Good.
I haven't shopped at Coles and Woolworths for a long time now. And do you know, I don't put petrol in BP.
Yeah.
I don't put petrol in Shell. No, I just go to the little good independents. I don't care because I just know how an economy works is
Yeah.
this.
That's the solution.
If I buy flowers from Lauren's florist, instead of buying it from Coles, their flowers, right? Lauren gets the money instantly.
Yeah.
And then Lauren pays her suppliers instantly. And Lauren goes and has a pizza that night instantly. So the money is circulated instantly.
Yeah.
We've got shareholders, directors. The filtration of this money isn't instant.
Yeah.
And that's why we're all so fucking stupid, because there's always little markets on the weekend on Saturdays. And when I go to the markets on the weekend, I'll tell you something about the markets on the weekend. When I buy avocado from there and I buy mangoes from there and I buy certain things from there, do you know I don't even need to, one, refrigerate them, and two, they last for weeks. Do you know they last for weeks?
Fresh. They're actually fresh.
They're fresh. Yeah. There's just,
how long has it taken to get them into the shelves of Woolworths and Coles?
but not only that, Shells and Woolworths, they know that your food at home is going to go off in 4 days. You'll be back with us.
Yeah.
Theirs is calculated very nicely.
Yeah, if that.
You know,
half the time you buy it, it's already off.
Yeah. So what I'm alluding to is, alone you can't do it. But unfortunately, the constant fight for convenience is the constant fight for the prices that we're paying, and we're not and we keep having demonstrations about supporting farmers, but the contradiction is, where are you buying your produce? Where are you putting petrol in your car? Like I'm telling you, I've got 2 petrol stations just down the road. I've got a BP and a 7-Eleven, and I drive another suburb away to Budget Petrol, only because they've always got a better price. But I know Budget Petrol is predominantly, I'm assuming, even if he owns 20 of them, I don't care. That's 20 he owns, or they own, or a family owns. So we really need to put an effort into our travels.
Yeah, for sure. It's teaching that longer term game.
Yeah. Huh? About shopping local. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but sometimes it's more convenient to, just go to 7-Eleven or.
It is, I know.
They do make it to be more convenient.
They have made it to be more convenient. But the thing is, that's what I'm saying to you, though. So I can't stand Coles. I know if Coles are listening, sorry, Coles. The reason I can't stand Coles is it looks to me like when you've walked into a little independent grocery, you see they've put a lot of workmanship. Even their signs are shit. Everything is shit, meaning their signs, the barrels, but it's got character. It's eclectic. It seems very eclectic feeling. Yeah. Where you go to Coles, it's
uniform.
I might as well walk into a hospital.
Yeah.
It feels like a hospital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It is strategic. That everything
it's
about
ve-
it is strategic to get
it's
you to buy more.
I walk in like a dead soul.
Mm.
I mean, you might as well roll me in with the fucking ambulance table, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So,
Get your copy at threeog.shop.
Let's go over the body. Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
All right, it's one exercise, sets and reps. Whether you train it or not, you just let me know. Traps.
What's it called?
Traps. Do you train traps?
Oh, traps. No,
Traps.
no, I don't. I don't. Yeah, not
That's okay.
directly. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Delts, back delts. What exercise and how many reps?
Oh, rear delts. Rear delt cable
Yep.
or reverse pec deck. 2 to 3 sets, 12 to 15 reps.
Okay. Your side delts.
Yep, lateral head. We're looking at like overhead presses, lat raises.
So overhead presses from behind? Or
Not
from
much
in
at the
front?
moment though, because I'm injured. Again.
Yeah, but what would you do from behind or in front for?
No, if you're going more,
side?
if you're too far in front, you're going to hit your anterior anyway. So
Yeah, I know.
you know, like
Because I'm going to bring
predominantly-
anterior next. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like we're not going movements
So-
that are kind of coming too far in front. You're looking, I mean, predominantly that lateral raise cable dumbbell is going to be the better bet. And then you're looking
Sets
at
and reps. Sets and reps.
sets and reps, maybe 3 per workout, maybe like 2 to 3 again reps of like 12 to 15 high rep for lateral raises and cables.
Front and since we spoke about front delts,
Interior, like incline press, more so dumbbell work. We use more so dumbbell work, less cable work for that. That's sort of the key one at the moment, to be honest. And then again, 2 to 3 sets, and we're probably looking more like 10 to 12 rep range for that. Yeah.
I've brought back the barbell front raises.
Oh, yeah?
I've learned to try to find the sweet spot with it instead of something where you throw, because you know the barbell. I know the reception is playing up a little bit right now. We'll get that right. It'll come in. It'll come in any second now. So when you're doing the barbell front raises, there's a sweet spot. You have to find the right weight with that. You got to be very.
Yes.
You can't go soft, and you can't go too heavy. There's something you got to find a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And that's in itself a challenge. But I do 3 sets of 10 to 12, sometimes 15.
Yeah.
Okay. What about back? Give me a back exercise.
Contralateral stance, single arm pull downs. Great for like hitting that lower lat. They're really good. 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. Pull downs, neutral grip, again, cable, dumbbell single arm rows, as James has taught me, very, very good for competitors because of the rotational work that we have to do.
Yeah.
So again, 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. Those are some really good key exercises. Yeah.
Okay. Chest.
I don't really train it. Maybe like a little bit in an incline press, but not. It's pretty rare. A little bit of at the moment we're doing some kind of rehab work. So glute bridge. So you'll go into a glute bridge and then press from the floor. Which will use a little bit of chest, not a whole lot, to be quite honest. Yeah. So it might be 2 sets, like if that, for a workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about bicep?
Training that at the moment. Yeah. Again, like 1 to 2 exercises across the course of the week, 2 sets, cable, predominantly cable bicep curls, 12 to 15 reps. Yeah.
Yep. Tricep.
Yeah. 1 exercise, a workout, 12 to 15 reps again. Yeah. The smaller muscle groups is always that kind of like 12 to 15 rep range, 2 to 3 sets.
What's the tricep exercise?
So like a rope push down or like a barbell push down cable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You probably don't do this. And like I said, it's a very old school. Not many people do it anymore. Forearms. You train your forearms at all?
Not really. Do you know what? For a little while I did though, only because I had tendonitis, so I had to do that. So it'd be hold the dumbbell, rest on the knee, holding that for like 60 seconds. Don't do it anymore, but yeah, a little bit in the past.
Well, to be honest, I still train forearms, but I just do a set to failure.
Yeah.
And I do train traps, but a set to failure. I just tap onto them just in case we've missed something along the way.
Yeah, that's good.
Quads.
Quads, not doing a whole lot at the moment. Hack squat, leg press, the only 2 exercises, 2 to 3 sets a workout. And hacks, you're looking at 10 to 12 reps, and leg press, it's 20, usually about 20 reps. Yeah.
Okay. Hammies,
back extensions, and leg curl.
how many sets and reps?
2 to 3 sets, and for both of those 10 to 12, about 10 to 12 reps.
Okay. Yeah. Glutes. Which
That's
one are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to choose? Which one are you going to choose?
Dumbbell Romanians are the way to go. They're the best.
Oh,
yeah, I love them.
They're the worst ones.
I love them. Love those. 3 sets, like 10 reps, like go freaking hard with them. I love those.
I think that exercise can take you 30 minutes and another 30 minutes to think about it.
To warm up for it? Yeah, to be fair.
No, to think about it. It's to think about it, and then to think about it each set you recover. There's a lot of
you contemplate your life choices when you're recovering between.
Yes. Calves?
For arms?
Calves.
Oh, calves. No, I don't really train them. I
guess you don't train tibialis either.
No.
All right, well, this is your moment. How about you promote yourself? Tell us your socials, business, podcast, website. Tell us everything about you. Where can we find you?
Find me on Instagram is probably the best place. So Lauren Killey. Podcast, yep. We've had a chat about that. Beyond a podcast, if you want to have a listen to some of our topics. And we've got our website link on my Instagram, beyond-fit.
You're on YouTube and Spotify?
Not a little bit on YouTube, more Spotify. Best place to go, Spotify.
Spotify, we just want to make sure. Well, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining me on Muscle Talks podcast. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.